their formation at the beginning of the decade, the Corrs, that's 3 sisters and 1 brother from Dundalk, have been forging their own unique sound, which marries Celtic influences with a modern pop sensibility. Within a year of its release, their debut album, Forgiven Not Forgotten, is approaching the 500,000 sales mark, and with singles like The Right Time and Runaway, it's onwards and upwards. So for Planet Rock Profiles tonight, we came to the Irish Music Industry Awards, the most prestigious of the year, called the Irmas, where the Corrs themselves deservedly picked up the accolade of Best New Band. Okay, let's first of all talk about the debut album. First of all, what's the reaction been like now abroad as opposed to here? Because I know it's sold phenomenally well in this part of the world.
Well, I mean, abroad in Australia, it's doing really, really well. We've only done 1 promo trip there, and it jumped. The sales jumped there. It's great. In Japan, we've just hit 50,000, which is really good.
Which is goals.
In America, I think we're what? I don't know.
We're chocolate.
We're chocolate. Okay, we've got chocolate.
Worldwide, we're approaching 500,000.
Approaching 500,000 at this
Yeah,
stage.
worldwide.
Does this surprise you, or was this part of it? I mean, like, people say it's overnight success in some ways for the Corrs. Now, I know it's since at least 1990 you've been sort of seriously together, so that's not overnight success at all. But the way it's happened in some ways, it is a bit of an overnight
I think
success.
from the public's point of view, it would be an overnight success. But for our point of view, we've been slogging for, for, you know, six years writing and trying to get our sound together. So, yeah, from the public's point
But
of
a
view.
lot of it has happened in the last year. You know, between last year getting the record deal and between this year, it's been like a roller coaster for us. It's been non-stop, and we are constantly on the TV, so the public are obviously seeing us an awful lot more.
Right. So what about then those years between, say, 90 and 95? I mean, what were you doing there? Was there any sort of a master plan at all? And like, did it just all come together that day in New York, which we'll talk about in a minute? Or was it just, let's see what happens, another band trying to make it? Or did you have something saying, we knew we were going to make it?
Well, we were focused on getting an international record deal. You know, I mean, we didn't do the usual thing as in going out and playing an awful lot of gigs around Ireland. I mean, we did a little small tour at one stage, but really we worked on writing and recording and building up a backlog of music so that we could get a deal eventually. So there was a plan, definitely, between ourselves and our manager.
So with that backlog of music, I mean, like, for instance, if you take the album, there's plenty of sort of instrumental Irish traditional type things on it, and there's plenty of go-ahead, good-sounding radio, FM, pop music as well. So what is this sound then? I mean, what is the sound of the Corrs?
Well,
All those things.
yeah, it's basically, the Corrs is basically a mixture of music that we like and we like to play. And music that we like is traditional, we like pop and we like rock. We've also been influenced classically as well, so sometimes you'll hear hints of that, but it's really a mesh of the type of music we like to hear.
Well, I get the impression then that, like, I mean, some of the stuff that your parents would have liked is music that has a great pop sensibility. I mean, Carpenters or Simon Garfunkel or whoever else you'd mentioned there. So did you get any of that and realise that, like, the best music around is music that has a great something to it, be it a feel to it or a good pop sensibility to it or whatever? Or did you ever want to do something like completely different or a bit sort of, I don't know, more experimental or something, if you like?
Well, I think, experimental can be seen as different things, like just because some band is, really alternative and uses really different instruments, it doesn't mean that other bands don't just experiment as much. They may just experiment vocally more, or with vocal textures more, or with their own instruments, but they may not just be using off-the-wall stuff, do you know what I mean? But I think basically we all had a love of melody. You know the type of music when you listen to it and you get shivers down your spine and you know you love that. So that's obviously what we wanted to pursue, something that we could get shivers to listening to, and hopefully the people then that would like our music would get the same.
Right, yeah. Okay, well then, what happens, just say that like the 4 Corrs are together and this thing, Alan Parker comes into Dublin to make a movie called The Commitments. Where do you fit into that? What happened there exactly?
Well, I had actually met John Hughes, our manager, who's looking around the background somewhere.
In the background.
Where is he? Johnny, come out here till we get you on camera. Come out here. Run in after him, get him on camera. I'd just before we got the band together, I had a little 8-track studio, which I was operating out of a little flat in Dublin, and myself and John met through a mutual friend, and I started recording him, and we got on very, very well. And it was he told me that this audition was about to come up for The Commitments, which Alan Parker was directing, and Alan Parker is my favourite director in the world. I love what he does. And so I suggested then that we get the that the four of us actually auditioned for this. So we went home, we rehearsed 2 songs. One of them was Knock on Wood, the other one was a Quincy Jones number called Don't Go For That. And we went up and we performed live on the stage in front of about 6 people, and it was the first time we performed together.
We'd never done it before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we'd never.
But wait a minute, if you performed a song like Knock on Wood, I mean, he was looking for a soul band kind of thing, or was
Yeah.
it?
That's why we did Knock on Wood.
I mean, really, like, it's basically, you know, chance in your arm here, you know.
Right, yeah.
So, you know, we knew we could do it, so we did it.
And so when you did perform in front of these 6 people, what did Alan Parker say at the end of that? Thanks, but no thanks, was it?
No, we all got like parts in it eventually,
Yeah.
but they're all like myself, Sharon, and Caroline got sort of blink and you'll miss it parts, whereas Andrea got a more substantial part playing the sister of Jimmy Rabbit, the manager.
But that was completely different than what you had sort of gone for in the first place. You auditioned to be part of a musical band, and then you became the sister of somebody who, you know, there was nothing to do with music.
But actually, no, the thing was, you know, they were just open auditions, and you auditioned as a band, but you didn't specifically think, I'm going to go up there and be in a band in the movie.
Yeah.
You just wanted anything you could get out of it. That was, I don't think we went and thought, we're going to be the Corrs in a scene in the movie.
Sure.
That wasn't the idea. It was like one of us could get in here or there, you know.
Yeah. So then, I mean, what happened then? I mean, like, you got your little scene in the movie, and you realised we still want to be the Corrs and do our own music, and we've now played live, so let's do it.
No, it was actually at that point that we unanimously between us and John decided that we wanted John to manage us and John wanted to manage us. So we got together, and it was then that we started writing and recording.
Yeah, and luckily enough, through Beacon Communications, which financed the film The Commitments, we got a publishing deal in conjunction with Polygram. So that gave us the money so that we wouldn't have to go off and get, you know, real steady jobs to live. So it gave us money to buy equipment and to keep ourselves going so we could write music. So that seemed at the time like nothing was happening, but it was really a major deal because that's why we've got so much material behind us.
All right, so in other words, they gave you the wherewithal, if you like, to be independent and to follow the dream.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny when you look at the film, The Commitment. You expect, oh, you want to get a role in it, but we got a publishing deal out of it, which was just
We
So-
formed, we
Great.
met our
You
manager.
basically
you
did
know.
better than anybody else, is what you're saying. It's true.
It's funny, every situation we go into, what we're looking for, we probably get something else out
Yeah,
of it. So
right.
like that's why we take every opportunity that comes to us. No matter how small it is, we just do it
Right.
and just see what happens.
It is a huge fairy tale aspect that if the Commitments then, the whole thing was over, if you then did decide to get writing and really getting down to stuff and saying we are going to be the Corrs as a band, this business of going over to America, first of all, how did you get to America? And like, was it first of all to get in touch with record companies, we have a publishing deal, we want a recording deal, or what was it?
It was basically the reason that we got over to America in the first place was due to Jean Kennedy Smith. We were actually playing in Whelan's in Dublin, and she came to one of our gigs.
The American ambassador to
Master-
Ireland came to Whelan's, a
This
small
sounded
pub.
Whelan.
Yeah,
Daughter.
this sounds
Oh,
very,
right.
very odd because Bill Whelan knew her and invited her along, and we never thought that she'd arrive to a small venue like
Who is
Whelan's.
one of Ireland's most respected
Yeah.
industry figures, yeah.
And she arrived and she loved it, and so she invited us there to play in the John F. Kennedy Library, and we went out there and we did that. And after doing that, we decided that John had already made a few connections within the music industry, and we decided that we'd go and visit record companies and see if we could get a deal.
Yeah, because they'd already heard our tape, because
Yeah.
John had been over and back to America, but
Right.
we'd never been. So this was the opportunity for them to see us, because you don't really get signed unless they see you and and they can
Yeah.
hear you play
Yeah.
and see your
Yeah.
potential, because otherwise you're just another tape in the bin, really.
And they all like said, yeah, great, but they didn't really sort of give you a dotted line to sign.
There was some that seemed very, very interesting. I thought some, in LA we didn't get much interest, but I thought, but the funny thing was, there was one really good thing about going to LA, because we ended up at a party with a guy who was in Beacon Communication at the time of the film The Commitments, and he got us in link with a guy in Atlantic Records, and that's how we got the meeting in Atlantic Records.
Amazing.
Do you know what I mean? Just
I
a
see.
party in LA, although
Yeah.
the record companies weren't interested in LA, we got this one thing at a party.
Right, yeah.
And this kind of
Another
led us
example,
to
if
the
you go
deal.
for something and something
Yeah,
else happens.
I mean,
I mean, in this case,
yeah.
you go for a good time, in other words, have a good time at a
Exactly.
party.
Yeah, so we were just kind of schmoozing at a party or whatever with different people.
And if only for that we wouldn't have met the right man, you know.
Okay, but now the right man here is obviously one of the biggest names in the history of the recorded music industry the last 20 years. 12 Grammys to his name. We're talking Madonna, Michael Jackson, etc. The guy's name is David Foster. Now, it was the guy at the party that led you to David Foster?
No, what happened was there was just one guy at a party that knew an A&R guy in Atlantic Records, okay? So he said, oh, I'll get you to meet this guy. This guy fobbed the meeting off on another guy in Atlantic Records. He didn't take the meeting. And then this guy, Jason Flom, A&R in Atlantic, took a meeting with us, listened to our tape, and loved it. This was the first guy that we could see really genuinely liked it.
Yeah.
And then he said, I would love you to meet with David Foster, because David Foster was, and I think maybe still is, in-house producer with Atlantic Records. So he's contracted to produce a certain amount of albums or songs on Atlantic Records every year. So he says, I'd love you to meet with him, but David was working with Michael Jackson in the Hit Factory, and we couldn't get a meeting.
Okay, so even Jason couldn't set up a meeting with David?
Well,
no?
because obviously when you're working with the likes of Michael Jackson, all the time is given to that.
Okay,
you know.
but at that stage, I mean, was there any knowledge with you of the fact that this guy, David Foster, was going to set up his own label, and that therefore there could be any in here?
No, you couldn't know that.
We were very, to be honest, naive.
Big time.
Very, very naive. I mean, we walked into the Hit Factory, and I think that we didn't know his discography. We knew obviously he's working with Michael Jackson, but it didn't home in. It didn't go in that we could actually potentially be meeting our producer, or that this could be a major record deal for us. We didn't know. I mean,
That's the good thing.
that was-
Crucial points in your life you don't realise
You
that
don't
they're
know.
so crucial.
So in other words, like one of the biggest sort of aspects of the success of the Corrs was, in this case, once again, maybe your naivety. If you had been more professional about it, say, listen, we're not going to call down to your man David Foster if we can't get a meeting.
Yeah.
But you did call down to David Foster.
And that was
and
up
couldn't
to
get a
John. That was up to John. I mean, we were actually literally round the corner from the Hit Factory doing a showcase for BMG, and John knew that David was in the Hit Factory. He said, it's round the corner, and he said, let's go round and see if we can get in.
But this is the old punk ethic in some ways, just sort of like, you know, demand, make the guy here. Because it's like the old days of the doo-wop guys on the corners in the 50s and sort of Tin Pan Alley time, when the guys would be walking into the record companies and there'd be these guys just doing these quick a cappella numbers on the street corner.
Yeah.
So let's hear about your quick a cappella number on the street corner. What exactly did you do? David Foster's up there with Michael Jackson. There's no way you can have a meeting with him. You go into this place called the Hit Factory and you're staying down at the reception and there's a woman behind the counter who says, get out.
No.
It's your last day in New York too. It's like the flight's tomorrow. Let's do something today. So what was the something you actually did?
Well, I suppose we dressed up very, very well.
Yeah.
We'd just been coming from a showcase as well. And, I mean, just a combination of, I suppose we tried to use our Irish charm. And we got in the door, we got past the security personnel, and I suppose, you know, we looked well, and we came in very, very positively to say that we were going to meet David Foster, and you know, more or less as if it was pre-arranged, and I suppose that's what the impression they got. So, like, sure enough, they told him about it. He came down about 15 minutes later and saw us there, and all right, he'd heard about us from Jason Flom, the A&R man in Atlantic Records. So he allowed us to come upstairs with him. He suggested we go upstairs, and we played one of our demos, Love to Love You, for him.
It was really up to John. I mean, I don't even, like, I remember walking through the doors, but I don't know how we actually got in. I think one of the crucial things was that we were completely overdressed for that time of the day. We had just gone way out. We were like evening dress, and it was
so
very
hot,
it was very dramatic because we didn't have many clothes because we'd no money. So seriously, we didn't. So we were in the one outfit, wearing it day in, day out for 2 weeks. And it was really dramatic, and then we'd all the instruments with us. So I think that maybe they were kind of thinking, oh, well, these look quite important. Maybe, you know, if we don't let them in, we could get in trouble. Do you know what I mean?
Not lose it, feel the flow. Oh, flying free in a fantasy, with you I'll go.
Okay, well now, Andrea, let's just go to something that you've done, something extracurricular from the Corrs. This whole business of, like, I mean, the Commitments is one thing, right?
Yeah.
Being sister or Sharon Rabbit or whatever the hell it is, right? What about Evita with Madonna? What happens there with you, and how did it come about?
Well, I mean, Alan Parker did the commitment, so he remembered me from that, and he said, what about Andrea Corr for this part? As the 15-year-old mistress, is she too old or what? So I auditioned anyway. Looked really young, like a little girl. And I auditioned twice, and I got it. So.
And what's it?
She's a mistress.
Of Jonathan Pryce?
Of Jonathan Pryce, which is Madonna's husband in it. And basically, it's a scene where Madonna kicks me out of the bed. Where I'm sleeping. No, Jonathan's out of the bed, thankfully. I've found out the details.
If it had been that way, would you have said no to her because maybe your parents wouldn't like it or something? Would it have mattered if Jonathan was in the bed and he had to be kicked out? That Madonna came storming out?
Thankfully, that's hypothetical. Thankfully.
What an answer. All right, so what happens then next for the Corrs? I mean, the album, like you've been, in one way in this part of the world, the album has been there long enough in some ways. Like people are going to start talking now about album number 2. So
Gonna keep talking. I don't know how we're gonna have time for album number
This
2.
is it.
I know, it's just, you see, in some parts of the world it's only starting.
Oh, I know that.
Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? And then Ireland, it's, you know, it's going well.
Okay, the whole idea of enjoying the success. I mean, I was talking to Oasis last week and your man was saying the best thing ever is I've won the lotto. A dream came true, he's a pop star and he loves every minute of it. Do you like what's happened over the last 3 years, or is it a lot of hard work, especially over the last 12 months? Is the work getting to you?
No, we love it. I mean, I think we're very privileged to be able to travel the world and meet so many different people and, you know, get a little bit of stardom or whatever and be playing our own music, doing something that we love to do. I think you can never really complain. We do get tired and sometimes that makes you a bit narky or whatever, you know, but no, I mean, it's just, it's really very good.
It's lucky that the business is so, you know, it involves such adrenaline, because I don't know how you'd make it otherwise, you know.
Good point, yeah, exactly. Okay, well, we are here at the Irma Awards here in Dublin, which is like the highest awards in terms of the Irish recording industry. First of all, what did you win and what does it mean to you to have won it?
Best New Band, we won, and it means a lot to us because it's the public that vote for it, and we realise now that we have a following and that, you know, that the Irish people really like the music, so that's why it means a lot to us.
You don't weigh it up against the fact that here's an award from people and here's an acknowledgement, or here's 350,000, 400,000 sales, and which is better or anything. It's just all part of the package.
No, I mean, it's a complete affirmation in the way we look at Ireland, because we can be hard to please as a nation, and I think that we use it as a sort of a barometer of the success that we've had, and you know, it's very encouraging that we get this. It's just fantastic that the first, you know, one of the first awards, 2 awards, we got the Hot Press Fill In It Award, and we get this award. It's fantastic.
So if you're a new-ish band, which I don't care if you started in the 1990s, and many people you are, and you've won the awards as the best of those, then it's a pretty damn good start, isn't it?
It's really great.
All right, well, congratulations to you all once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.